So I'm sure that by now you're wondering, how's this T-TESS thing going to work? How am I going to be rated? Well, we had a conversation about that in the spring, but we certainly need to review it, and we have folks that are going to be joining us next year that maybe they haven't had conversations about it. So think back, remember, there are 4 domains to T-TESS. So there's the planning domain, the instruction domain, the learning environment, and professional practices and responsibilities. So we have 4 domains that comprise T-TESS. Under those 4 domains, there are the dimensions. And as you can see here, looking at the first, planning has 4 dimensions. And you can see the 4 different dimensions here, and they're labeled 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Instruction has 5 dimensions. Learning environment has 3 dimensions, and professional practices and responsibilities has 4 dimensions. So you can see all the dimensions listed here for you. So looking at this chart, the dimensions fall into the performance levels, and we have distinguished, accomplished, proficient, developing, and improvement needed. And if you remember back to the conversations we were having in the spring, proficient is the great place to be. And whenever we get to the rubric, you're going to read through the descriptors, and that'll remind you why proficient is a great place to be. I just want you to continually remember that. Proficient is good. That's where we like to be, is proficient. So this rubric has the labels. So again, just as we reviewed in the spring, this is the planning dimension 1.1, standards and alignment. This is the descriptor about what 1.1 is about. You can see here the domain, the dimension, the performance levels, so you're distinguished, accomplished, proficient, developing, and improvement needed, and then the descriptors under each one. Think back to the activity that we did in the lecture hall where you were highlighting and circling or underlining and having conversations with people next to you with the rubric. After this video, I will put a link in the Nearpod for you to access the rubric if you want to look at that rubric, but we will continually be going through the rubric as we move throughout this year. But this is just that reminder of how to break down the rubric and what it is that you're looking at. This is the continuous improvement cycle. This is what's found through TEA's information for us. And we are right here at the top. So we are in the orientation phase. We are learning about T-TESS. And that's what we are going to be focusing on throughout August and September, is that learning and orientation phase. And then as you follow it around, self-assessment, we're going to look at data and the rubric. And then we're going to review, and we're going to talk, and we're going to determine needs, and then we're going to develop goals. And so right now, you just be thinking about the different areas in your instruction that you would like to focus on. We're not even talking about having anyone had been in your room yet. We're just talking about you thinking about what would you like to improve on with your instructional practice. Think about that. Earlier this summer, all the administrators, we went through goal development and goal writing to help us in our reflective processes and to help us continually improve. And we're going to do the same activities as a faculty in August. So then we will develop our goal, and we will have a professional plan in place, and this will be done as a faculty but also individually, and you will work with your evaluator on this. And so then the cycle, you can see the review of the goals and the plan, tracking the progress and the results, and then the end of the year conferences throughout the year, or after the year has gone through. We've had walkthroughs, we've had formal evaluations, we've had pre-conferences and observations and post-conferences. All those things have occurred, and then we start preparing for the next year. So this is the outline of the continuous improvement cycle in TEA that we will begin to discuss in August. So with that, what we will do in August is we will break down the rubric in more detail, just as we did in, I believe it was in April, whenever we were looking at the rubric. We will be working in small groups to have conversations about what T-TESS is, what T-TESS is about, what does it mean for you as a teacher. We will talk about what does evidence actually look like, so what constitutes evidence for each dimension, what are things that we're looking for under those evidence categories. We're going to discuss the specifics of College Station Independent School District's plan for implementation of T-TESS. We're going to talk about how this looks for ATR individuals, because not everyone will be on the full-blown T-TESS, just like not everyone was on the full-blown PDOS. Not everyone will be on the full-blown T-TESS evaluation process and growth process, but there will be components of T-TESS implemented into ATR. And then we will be working on that goal-setting process, because that is the key to the T-TESS entire system, is goal-setting and continuous improvement. I want you to know that you can do this. It seems very overwhelming at first, and through a lot of conversation that I've had with people starting in February and March, it seemed extremely overwhelming. But the more that I've learned and the more that I've worked with it, the more I've realized this is not anything that we can't do. This is focused on continual growth and development and improvement, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to provide you support, and we're going to be there with you. We're going to be patient through this process. We're going to ask for you to be patient with us as evaluators through this process, because this is new to us just as it is to you. And so there's going to be lots of patience and grace extended both directions as we become familiar with what T-TESS is and what it's about. And just as with anything else, I'm going to be continually pushing you to be outside of your comfort zone. And T-TESS is going to put us all outside of our comfort zone, because it is something different, and it is something new, and it is something that we're not accustomed to doing as teachers in the state of Texas. But I think it's going to be awesome, and at the end, this is how we're going to feel. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer. I hope that things have been going well. Think and reflect. What instructional practice are you wanting to work on? That's what you need to think about right now. We'll talk soon.